Thanks for staying with us. Now, at the weekend, the City Press ran a story alleging political interference in the supply chain management in the city of Ekurhuleni. Now, there were claims that in the awarding of the 2 billion rand security tender wrapped up in 23 days. It was supposed, of course, to take a little bit longer, and there are concerns that this process may not have been as meticulous as it was supposed to be. This has led to unhappiness with some of the companies involved here who submitted their bids, and they're now demanding answers. We now have Ekurhuleni Finance MMC Nkululeko Dunga joining us live now. Thank you so much, MMC, for your time. Was everything above board?
No, greetings to you and greetings to the viewers of SABC News. Definitely, from where we're standing, is that everything was above board. We would not have allowed a situation where there would be a process that would be seen or administrators to be acting outside of the mandate, particularly of the MFMA and the approved supply chain management policies of the city. You know, what we do know at this point is that the tender was advertised on the 21st of April, 2023. And it therefore followed the processes and the timelines as stipulated in the MFMA and the Supply Chain Management Regulation 22, in line with the MFMA, in that it has gone through the BSC, it has gone through the BEC, and ultimately found its way as well in terms of the adjudication committee, which ultimately approved the tender based on the people who have applied and who should actually be in the forefront of attaining this particular contract.
How long would you say it took? The article claims 23 days?
Well, look, the honest problem is that, on the City of Ekurhuleni had to approve a supply chain management policy, which was only approved on the 21st of February of this year. And it had certain amendments into it. And only then can we then effect, processes for new contract by the City of Ekurhuleni.
But were these companies appointed in 23 days after the tender was advertised?
Yeah, well, if the contract was advertised on the 21st, did the contract meet the stipulated timeframes in terms of advertisement? Yes, it's a contract above 30 days, meaning that, above 10 million, meaning that we have to at least have advertised for 28 days, of which we did. Mm-hmm. And after there was a process of a bid evaluation committee that has set, at times the bid evaluation committee, in accordance to, to the report we're getting, was that they were sitting at times 3 to 4 times in a week trying to process it, because you would understand the security is a critical component to the city, and therefore we cannot allow for a city not to have a contract in place to take care of its assets. So more so is the fact that there was an end of a contract. It would have reached its finality by month end, and there had to be a new contract that is effective. And in the absence of a new contract finding space, would have been that we must look at the extension, and an extension, you would know, would be a finding by the Auditor General, and therefore would even significantly lose our position of a clean audit as the City of Ekurhuleni.
So this actually raises a lot of questions. The last part is that, when did you realize the contract would come to an end, and thus only act when it's just about to come to an end? But I want us to answer this question. 232 security companies meeting the deadline. That's according to the article, of course. The municipality shortlisting 10 companies and subsequently appointing those 10 companies. This done in 23 days. Did the bid evaluation committee have time to meticulously go through 232 applications, send rejection letters, and tell them why they were rejected in this short space of time? Was that done?
Of course. These were all dealt with by a team comprising of enough professionals to meet the deadline for the award. Extra hours were committed to ensure that we do not leave council infrastructure and assets exposed due to delays in the process in themselves. Do we have confidence in that the rule of law was followed, particularly in terms of the MFMA? Definitely, we do.
So why are the companies then that were rejected raising the alarm here, and they're saying that they want the city?
These are the companies that have, for the longest of times, have received the tenders themselves.
But maybe allow me to finish my question so that maybe you can answer. I hear you, but I'm trying to get us to a certain point. Maybe you can answer them directly. I think they're watching. The companies are claiming that the letters, they would like the letters of regret to be sent to them as unsuccessful bidders, the proof of communication. They're asking for the minutes of the bid evaluation committee and are claiming that this process may not have been meticulous in a short space of time. At the same time, you have the MMC of Community Safety raising concerns with this particular process. So in your response, I'd like you to take that into your fact and say, why are then these questions, including from your own counterpart, who's an MMC for Community Safety, who says that she's still waiting for answers in this process?
Yeah. Firstly, documents are requested through the Popeye Act. It could be, there's a process that is there for these companies to actually get these documents. The EFF, forming part of this government, is a government of the people that is transparent, and there should be no any issues in actually attaining these particular documents that these companies would look for if they are not thoroughly satisfied. But we're not speaking of the satisfaction outside of also being malicious, because unsuccessful bidders by nature were communicated with post the appointments in line with the legislation. However, it must be noted that the communication can only be done after appointment letters have been sent to those whose bids have been accepted, Now, the only political interference that one can really come up to, because even ourselves as the custodians, I mean, I'm an MMC of finance and I'm the custodian of supply chain management in the city, was that I had no interference in terms of the process in itself. We're only getting reports now to satisfy ourselves in that the processes have been duly followed. Would be that there's an MMC from a particular political organization that directly wants to interfere in the tender process in itself and wants to be kept abreast in terms of the processes. We're speaking about the same councillor and MMC, by the way, of Community Safety, who not so long ago was also found to be having lunch with some of the service providers in the security contract in itself, who had probably thought that they would have ascertained the very same contract. So there's a lot of interest that might emanate from the point of view of the MMC, who is now questioning, this particular process in itself and wanting to interfere. And the only thing that we can say is that let us allow administration to actually do its work and carry its work out. Ours is to have political overview and oversight in terms of what happened. And we've exhausted that aspect of it in trying to thoroughly understand the process and procedures that has led to this particular contract. And we're satisfied that it has met all its obligations and in line with the MFMA.
So MMC, I know we're out of time, but are you then saying, should this matter go to court? Because we know that a legal letter has now been written. Should it go to court? It can't stand judicial scrutiny?
Definitely. Without a shadow of a doubt, we're still on course as the City of Ekurhuleni to actually get our clean audit, because we are of the firm belief that there is clean governance that we're carrying out, propelled by the EFF being in government. MMC, and anything outside of that would smack of even particularly the ANC having wanted to have their fingers into a tender process where they should not.
I wish we had more time, but there's something else just in 10 seconds. In the past, we used to see that the tender processes in the city of Ekurhuleni, and I remember sitting in one such meeting, would be made public. We would see some of these companies bidding in public in a hall and be able to be rejected, some of them, or you listen to some of the applications and the questions that are getting asked. Is it something that the city could look into once again in order to get members of the public to also be able to see these particular processes like they would in the past?
Yeah, definitely. That process was unfortunately stopped due to COVID. It can be revived again, but we still transparent in the fact that we've got the register of the documents that are submitted to council for bidding, and these are things that are actually even advertised on our websites for transparency purposes. But
right.
and that's as far as we can go right now, but we are definitely open to the possibility of revoking that particular act prior to COVID.
All right, MMC, thank you so much for your time this evening. I wish we had more time, and of course we'll continue to monitor developments around this, but thank you so much for taking our call. That was Ekurhuleni Finance MMC Nkululeko Dunga talking about this particular issue. And we'll try to get the others here who are also at play in this particular story, just to get a sense of what exactly is going on there. Of course, grievances, there's a lawyer's letters that have been written, but the MMC is saying everything is above board. It can't stand judicial scrutiny. But of course, we'll continue then to monitor this.